If I were to do this, if I even could do it, I'd need a guarantee. How do I know you can deliver?
You don't, but I can.
The things that you're fearful of, they're nothing. It's all what if thinking. What if it does this? What if it doesn't do the shit you're afraid of? You've wasted fucking time.
What's good, YouTube? What's good, YouTube? And this video is a full multi-time frame breakdown of the dollar index, from monthly microstructure down to 1 hour intraday price action. But we're not just analyzing, right? I'm also breaking down educational concepts like the dealing range. What is the dealing range, and what the dealing range actually is, right? How to interpret the balanced price range, what the continuation range looks like, and how to trade ranges that run with buy side and sell side. Now listen, before we can start, whether you're trading gold, euro USD, GBP USD, US 100, or indices, right? The dollar is your leading indicator, and if you understand it, everything else, right, you'll be trading everything else with what precision. Now this breakdown was first done for my private Discord, right? But I thought, you know what, let me share it with everyone, right? If you want more of this more often, and including live streams on one-on-ones, join the Discord, man, for free. Right now, on the monthly time frame, we're currently on the monthly time frame, and you can see that we are currently operating inside a range between January 2021's low, right, and September 2022's high. But now that high swept, if you look on the left side of the market, right, you see this relative equal lows. Yes, that high here swept the relative equal highs there, from March. This was March, yes, March and June 2017, right? A classic liquidity grab. Now I'm using a Fibonacci. If you pay attention, here's a Fibonacci. Let me share with you my settings for this fib. So we have our 0, 0.25, 0.75, 0.50, and 100%. Now these are the levels. Now if you look at where my Fibonacci is at, right, I'm not actually looking at the wicks. I'm using the bodies of those candles, right? This low here, January 2021 and September 2022's bodies for my fib levels, not the wicks, because at higher time frames, candle bodies reveal the story and the wicks show the reaction, right? So we reacted outside there, but look at how the bodies were respecting that level, right? Now where are we with price right now? We are now in the discount territory, right, below the 50% of this range, right, between 50% and 25% level, after a heavy sell-off, right? A heavy sell side delivery from the premium zone, from the extreme premium of this range. And inside that extreme premium, we had this extreme premium CB fair value gap, right? Traded into it, and we sold off, targeting this relative equal lows. After wicking down into this zone here, the 75% and the 50% level, which is the premium level, not the extreme, we were just trading inside, consolidating inside of it, just creating a range. Now on this year January, we ran those buy stops, traded on the extreme number one, inside a extreme premium CB, and we had a sell-off delivery seeking sell-side liquidity, right? Now you might be asking yourself, okay, but then what is a dealing range, right? Because this is part of my dealing range. Now a dealing range is the active swing high, right, which is this one on the monthly. Now remember, this is the monthly time frame though. Remember, everything is fractal, right? A dealing range is an active swing high, right, to swing low, where like now in between those ranges, that is where smart money operates. It's where the liquidity is built, and harvested around those zones, right? And you have to understand, once a dealing range is defined, it sets up what everything, right? Now that's where now you're gonna be looking for what your Fibonacci zones, right? Which are what the 75% level, the 50% level, the 25% level. Once we are below the 25%, we are in the extreme discount of this range. And once we are on the 75% level, 75% to 100% level, that is the extreme premium of that range, right? And from 50% to 75%, that is the premium, not the extreme, but the premium. And from 50% to 25%, that's the discount, right? So in those key areas, we're gonna be looking for what? Fair value gaps, order blocks, right? And the entire market narrative. So on the monthly, our dealing range is from what? From January 2021 to September 2022. And from there, we have been trading, consolidating, ran buy stops, then ran for sell stops as well. We're currently trading, we're inside the discount of this range. Now, what do I mean? I want you to pay attention to something, man. Look, we on the extreme of this range, we have what? That extreme fair value gap. So once we traded inside of there, what was our next drawn liquidity? Discount. We had what? This relative equal lows here. We saw that taking place. And where is our potential support line? We have this bullish order block. We have this inversion fair value gap. And where is it? Right at what level? The 25% level. And if price wants to trade lower, we have this bullish order block, which is in the extreme discount of that range. Remember, on the monthly time frame, it has been what? It has been bullish since we've been making higher highs, higher lows, consolidated, made relative equal lows, then made a higher high. So you'd expect to see a what? A lower high. So meaning this low being respected, but because we had something forming on the higher time frame, on the monthly time frame, we have a high, low, higher high, lower low. What is that? ICT's 2022 model, right? That's ICT's 2022 model. So meaning our break is where? At the 50% level, right? And we have our breakaway gap, which I would prefer to see price not trading back there, right? Meaning I don't want to see price trading back into the extreme of this range. I would prefer it to trade the premium, trading this inefficiency, just right above the 50% level, right? So meaning I'm interested in this inefficiency. I'm interested in this inefficiency, meaning I want to see this one acting as my breakaway gap. I would like to see it remain untouched for the coming months. So for the coming months, I would prefer to see this gap remain open and this acting as my resistance line if we are gonna be targeting sell side liquidity, right? It's very important. And if you pay attention to in this range here, right, this high, what did it run? This relative equal highs. And what did this low run? This relative equal low. So this becomes what? Our current dealing range, but on the lower time frames, right? This is a higher time frame dealing range. So this gives me a higher time frame narrative, the monthly narrative. We're currently trading in the discount. So because I want to see a possible pullback, I'll be trading inside this dealing range here. But I'm going to explain that as we go into the lower time frames, right? Now let's check the the weekly time frame. On the weekly, we get more narrative. After consolidation, you know, in the extreme, right? And running by side and trading inside that extreme fair value gap, right? Price ran buy side here, but I want you to pay attention. Look at those levels, man. The 50% level was acting what as our support line, and the 75% level was acting what as our resistance line. Since when? I'd say since December 2022 up until when? 2024. So dollar has been consolidating on a higher time frame level. We ran buy side, traded the extreme, then price hit that weekly imbalance, right, and display strongly to the downside, running all sell side below here, right, along the way. So, and pay attention, look at this, bro. After running sell stops, right, we retraced back to where the 50% level, and look at the bodies. Remember what I said, the bodies tells you the narrative. Look at the bodies. Even though we wicked in the premium, but the bodies stayed underneath it. So that tells you what, we're still in that bearish momentum, right? We traded low, and on the weekly time frame we have this bullish order block. That is where at the 25% level, let me just do this so that everyone can see what I'm talking about. Right, we have this bullish order block, and where is it? At the 25% level. That could be what, our support line. So now I have a PD array coupled with what, a dealing range level. So this here, it's a very nice clean support line. We haven't traded there. This was just an inducement. And remember, for me to start targeting that high, right, that monthly CB and possibly this short-term high here, I want to see price this week closing above this down close candle here. That is the only time that I'm gonna say, you know what, I'm targeting that inefficiency. Because remember, on the lower time frames we are heavily selling, man. We are heavily bearish. We are now hovering just above what, the 25% level, right? Approaching a discount weekly order block. So this week's candle is key, right? This is what I wanna say. Let me just get into more info details now. Now, this week's candle is key, right? If we close above the down close candles, this ones, that confirms our short-term bullish pullback, right? Targeting that short-term high and possibly trading inside that inefficiency. However, like I said, I want to see speed and volatility, right? I want to see a strong bullish candle closing above that high. I want to see the body closing above it, not just wicking and like maybe doing an example like something like this. It just wicks and the body closes still inside the below the high of this candle. That confirms to me that maybe price is not willing to trade back into that inefficiency. It wants to like trade, still wants to trade inside this weekly discount order block, right? So it's possible that could happen. But now, like I said, right, this is our current dealing range on the weekly time frame. If we decide to make a pullback, so I want to see something. Woo! So where are we? You see now, you get more information now. I want you to see something. The main threshold, right, the equilibrium of this dealing range is what? The high of that fair value gap. So that's something that I anticipate to see. So meaning I want to see it acting as my resistance line, my line of defense, supporting what? That breakaway gap on the monthly time frame. You understand? So with that information, I can remove this just for peace sake. Let me just remove this. Thank you. Now I know now that this inefficiency is important to me only if we close above this down close candle, right? Because on my long-term bias, I am bearish on the dollar. Because price could be like, I don't want to test back on those inefficiencies. I just want to run sell side. I just want to run sell side. I just want to run sell side. Now, as we get into the macros, what do we have? What do we have here? What do we have here? We had a down close candle. Then price opened also, just wicked and closed. We had a fair value, which is supposed to be what? An inversion fair value gap, right? But what did price do? This candle here, remember, if we were still bearish, right, you would want to see this inefficiency acting as our resistance line and continue with that sell side delivery. But we closed above it, right, confirming our inversion fair value gap. But this candle here created a BC, a fair value gap, making this a what? A balanced price range. Let me just do this. Making this level here a balanced price range. And look at the bodies. This is last week, right? We wicked below it, right? Remember, the wicks do the damage. The body tells you the narrative. We opened, had a very strong sell-off, then closed on the upper quadrant of that balanced price range. What is that telling you? We could see a what? Next week we could see what? A bullish wick targeting that high there, right? And possibly the short-term high and that inefficiency as well, right? Now, someone who doesn't know might say, okay, Neo, but what is a balanced price range? I hear you talking about a balanced price range. See, a balanced price range in the short-term BPR is when the market creates two opposing imbalances, right? For example, we had a bearish fair value gap, right? Then followed by what? A bullish fair value gap. Or let's say, for example, in this scenario, right, we have an inversion fair value gap coupled with a what? With a BC. So this confirms a what? A BPR, right? So this creates a what? A balanced price range, meaning price is likely to what? To make a consolidation, retest possibly a midpoint, consequent encroachment, or expand from it based on displacement. And what did price do? This week we opened right at the consequent encroachment, just wick below it, and we started spooling for buy side, running last week's high and last week high as well. So currently right now on the weekly time frame, we are in a BPR zone. We just left the BPR zone, and price closed in its upper quadrant, which is the weekly time frame, right? We closed on the upper quadrant of it. So this is a strong signal that bulls are temporarily in control. But for me to target that high, like I said, I want to see us closing above that high with what? Displacement. Now, if we see a strong bullish week candle this week, right? And next week opens inside a narrow range, that might become our continuation range, because we run higher towards what? The 50% level or even the 75% level, right? Now, a continuation range, right, is a small consolidation or pullback after displacement. So after that displacement, you might make that small pullback targeting the 50% level and that inefficiency. A continuation range, right, is a small consolidation or a pullback after displacement, which acts as a resting zone before the market continues in the direction of the trend, right? Now, with everything that I've shared with you now I have confirmation that I want to see us closing above this high with what? Displacement. And I want to see this balance price range acting as my support and offering me that strong support line in targeting that high, right? But remember, like I said, this is NFP week. We have news today, we have news tomorrow until the day of NFP. So you should be reading the market and understanding what's the current narrative the news will be playing in affecting the market in our long-term directional bias as well, right? Now let's check the daily time frame just to get more clarity, right? Oof. Now looking at the daily time frame, right? Now the daily time frame simplifies everything. Look at Monday's candle, bro. You cannot tell me that's not algorithmic. There's no way you can tell me that's not algorithmic, bro. Crazy. Now Monday printed a clean, strong bullish candle, bro. Right? Tuesday kind of like opened with strength again, right? You know, this tells me we are preparing for NFP, but don't be surprised if the market like runs buy side, you know, hits liquidity, then rejects. It's possible, right? Could just run liquidity here and start rejecting. Or market could what? Fully commit, right? And explode even higher, right? Targeting what? Higher zones, higher price levels, right? Possibly the short-term high here, the 50% level, that high there, and initially what? Our monthly draw on liquidity if we are bullish, that is that monthly fair value gap, right? It's very important. And remember, we are currently trading inside a what? We are currently trading inside a range that ran both buy side and sell side liquidity, right? Because sometimes price will run both ends of liquidity, taking out sell stops first, then, you know, reversing to sweep buy stops or vice versa. For example, in this scenario, let me just go back to the weekly time frame. Like in this scenario, right, we ran what first? We ran buy stops first, then we started running sell side. So this is that dealing range that I'm talking about. I don't know if you understand, right? Now this creates what we call a clean, you know, down range, if I may explain, if I'm correct. This explains, like, we call it a clean down range, where the market was heaviest, right? Was heavy and harvested like late shorts, right? You know, cleared inefficiencies, inefficient positions, right? Those short-term lows. So what does this tell me? This tells me that price could be what? Preparing for a clean directional move in the long run. You understand? So if we see the market sweep both ends of a small range, right? Don't panic. So it might be doing just so, meaning what I mean is that when you see something like this on the lower time frames, because remember the market is fractal. What you see on the weekly time frame, you could see it on the daily time frame, you can see it on the 1 hour time frame, you can see it on the 15-minute time frame, you can see it on the 5-minute time frame, you can see it on the 1-minute time frame. You understand? So when you see something like this, don't panic. As long you understand the narrative and the bias. So today is Tuesday. We've just ran the short-term high, right? It could be inducement. Price could wanna retrace, then pull higher. But this week I'm just gonna remain vigilant. I'm not gonna rush myself into doing any explosive trades or any trades at all. I'll be just paper trading, right? Because I'm preparing for August. So when I see how NFP reacts this week, it's very important to me. Now running the 1 hour time frame, Now on the 1 hour time frame, right, the roadmap now becomes clear, right? We've been bullish since Monday. Price is now hovering just below the buy stops, right? Just below the buy side liquidity from last week. Like I said, I want to see displacement above that high. Now my target is 99,300 big figure, or the 99,400 big figure, right? However, the high is 99,422. But if that happens, then I want to see a continuation back into what? A full continuation to that 101,000, which is the monthly midpoint, right? So that tells you what we could see a bearish gold, since what the dollar has been bullish, and also a bearish euro USD. Right. But remember, right, if we return to the monthly breakaway gap, that invalidates the long-term bearish model, right? And that's a red flag. That's a red flag for me. So I'm not rushing. I'm tracking this week's candle close, watching the weekly order block, this bullish order block, right? And only trading with confirmation, guys. Only trading with confirmation. So just to recap what I just shared with you, on the monthly time frame, I have a I have a bearish bias unless breakaway gap gets violated, but that could take months, right? That could take weeks to happen. So I'm dealing with intraday narrative, right? On the weekly time frame, we have that bullish pullback set up if we close strong, right? That balance price range acting as our support line. So you see that we could see a continuation higher, or what? We have that as our support line as well. Then on the daily time frame, is pre-NFP, setup is in play. I'm just waiting to see how we trade around those days, right? Everything is clean. Everything is just nice. So I'm just gonna be relaxing and just reading the charts, man. Now everything is just marked. Yeah, we could possibly see a continuation, or maybe price could just generate more liquidity, just induce more liquidity just right there, just preparing for NFP. I don't know, or possibly could during NFP could run that 99.422 level, right, and start selling back into that price range. It's possible, right? But I'm gonna allow price to paint me a picture. I'm gonna allow price to give me a blueprint of what's to happen for August, right? Because remember, the dollar is your leading indicator. Whether you're trading gold, whatever, if you understand the dollar, you understand the game, my guy. I tell you. So this breakdown was made for my private Discord community, but I'm sharing it here on YouTube so that to build something with more traders like you. But if you are interested in joining my private Discord, it's free. We are building something real there. I'll be introducing live sessions as well, one-on-ones, deep analysis. Just pull up, man. Just pull up. Link is in the description. And if the video gave you value, drop a like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more next breakdowns, right? I might make more videos on gold, US 100, and Euro USD. Just keep on sharing. And also this helps me strengthen my understanding of the market, because I have ADHD. So for me, this gives me accountability to actually do this with love, and be able to account to somebody. So I made it my priority that my YouTube community, my Discord community is whereby I'll be able to account as a trader. That will help me to grow as a trader. You understand? Because man, an ADHD brain is a destructive brain. So I'm living my life through systems, and this is part of that system. So if you want to join me in this journey, subscribe, join my Discord on the description down below. And you know what, man? Let's keep sharing. It's Tlebere, and I'm out. Cheers.